Good evening, I'm Alex Fisher. Tonight, we wanted to give you an opportunity to see the two candidates running to represent Kern's 5th Supervisorial District, debate the issues that impact you the most. Sadly, we will not be able to do that. Over the past 3 weeks, we have hosted 3 debates to help you make informed decisions about the candidates on your ballot. Ballots went out last week. We wanted to hold these debates as close to the day they were sent out as possible. All candidates in previous debates agreed to participate, facing off with each other and making their case to you, the voter. Unfortunately tonight, the voters in the 5th Supervisorial District will not get that opportunity. Both Kim Salas and Leticia Perez were given an opportunity to debate. Ms. Salas agreed. Ms. Perez, the incumbent in this race, did not agree. The Perez campaign originally told us Ms. Perez would participate on October 3rd, but then backed out. We tried to reschedule while expressing our intent on holding a debate in early October. Supervisor Perez gave shifting explanations on why she could not attend our debate. We finally gave her 2 options, either October 14th or the 17th. We never heard back. This isn't the first time she has refused to participate in a debate. In 2020, despite repeated confirmations that she would appear, Ms. Perez did not show up to debate the 4 other candidates in that race. And in 2022, when she was running for the state assembly, the same thing happened. And it's happened again tonight. Instead, we are slightly changing course and having a sit-down conversation with Kim Salas. While we wish a debate could take place, we are sticking to our original plan of holding this time slot open for the voters in the 5th Supervisorial District to get to know their candidates better, even when one doesn't show up.
Live from downtown Bakersfield, 17 News, your local election headquarters presents a special presentation featuring the Kern County Supervisors District 5 race. Now, 17's Alex Fisher.
And good evening, and thanks for joining us. Tonight, we are having a one-on-one conversation with Kim Salas, who is the sole candidate challenging incumbent Leticia Perez. About 180,000 people live in Kern's 5th District. It incorporates only Metro Bakersfield, including portions of downtown, South, and East Bakersfield. You can see the district right here on your screen. Ms. Kim Salas joins me now to talk more about where she stands on the issues that impact this area the most. Ms. Salas, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do appreciate you coming on. I just want to again get your reaction to the fact that we are not having a debate this evening. We were scheduled to have one up until just a few moments ago. Of course, you're learning that this is not going to be a debate, but instead a conversation about the issues that impact these voters the most. I just want to get your response, though, to the fact that the other candidate in this race, your opponent, did not show up.
Well, you know, Alex, I'm disappointed. Having been or being a resident that lives in District 5, I think it's important that they see and contrast and compare who's running, but it doesn't surprise me considering knocking on doors, and I've heard from people who say that they don't really get a response from her office as well. So like I said, it's disappointing. I wish the incumbent would have been here so that we could have had a healthy debate for the benefit of the residents and the voters in District 5.
And we want to let the viewers tonight know that while we are not going to have a debate, the topics and the questions remain the same. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to first begin with crime here. Of course, this is an issue that impacts so many families across Kern County, especially in the 5th District. So again, this is a controversial statewide issue. And we're starting to see, of course, lawmakers up and down the state try to address this. Across the state, we've seen a proposition. There's a proposition on the ballot. It's Prop 36. It would revert Prop 47 to allow for tougher punishment for retail theft offenders. Opponents say Prop 36 is so extreme that stealing a candy bar could lead to felony charges. So how do you respond to those criticisms that we're hearing from across the state, including here in Kern County? And what else do you think can be done at the county level to help combat these types of crimes?
Yeah, so with Prop 36, I am endorsed by public safety, so sheriff's deputies, police officers, as well as the Kern County Prosecutors Association, first responders like city and county fire. So with regards to Prop 36, speaking to business owners in the district, there is a business at the corner of Union and California that now has to put about $19,000 in a line item budget for vandalism, for broken windows. And I think, quite frankly, not just business owners, but people in general are fed up with these kinds of petty crimes that go on. I mean, you steal a candy bar, I trust the justice system to weigh that out. But there's other more serious crimes that, you know, moved from a felony to a misdemeanor when Prop 47 was enacted. So Prop 36 is going to reverse that and mandate that some of the vandalisms that go on, or some of these crimes that happen, if drug addiction as well, will go through like drug court, that used to be part of the system. Now, there is a difference, though, between homeless criminals and homeless, because a lot of people say, well, they're homeless, they have to still do these things, but homeless criminals that are oftentimes doing these things, they need to be dealt with. There's consequences and actions. What we can do locally to get to that is to make sure that we support our law enforcement, that they do their job. We need to make sure that they're staffed up, and we need to make sure that areas in the 5th District have the proper staffing. One of my concerns specifically is the substation, the sheriff's substation at Virginia and Flower. I'd like to see how we can get that staffed up and make sure that that community is participating and trusting law enforcement.
So there's, Sheriff Donnie Eblett, he's a huge proponent of Prop 36. He has been on our show, 17 News at Sunrise. I have interviewed him many times, and he has advocated for Prop 36 to pass. The question, though, that I've asked him is, the county jail struggles with beds, or has the beds, but it's the staff too that they have a difficult time with. So if theoretically, if Prop 36 does in fact pass, and there are some who say there's going to be more criminals arrested and placed into jails, do you see an issue with the county jail running into an issue of there are not enough beds, there's not enough staff, and how do you help Sheriff Youngblood with that problem if it were to arise?
There's already a problem with the jail. In speaking with some of the law enforcement officers, the downtown jail is closed. And currently, if someone is arrested, especially in Metro Bakersfield, and that's the area that is part of District 5 that all encompasses it, they have to now drive out to Lerdo to process whom they've arrested. And that takes BPD, sheriff's deputies out of the Metro Bakersfield for a good average of 2 hours, because they have to sit there to process the person that they've arrested and then come back into Metro Bakersfield to finish their shift and finish their duty and what they're called to do. So there's already a problem with the downtown jail being closed, but what we need to do is make sure that there's funding available. Look where we can find out to expand that, because if Prop 36 is passed, the impact to that, and there's not going to be any more catch and release. It's just going to be, we're going to catch you, we're going to keep you, we're going to divert you to a drug program if necessary, and make sure that justice is served. Now, the problem with that is the capacity. Kern County and Bakersfield has grown tremendously, and I think that we need to make sure that we have the right resources and facilities. They just built the coroner's facility, beautiful facility. We'd like to see that done as well, with some of the housings that when people are arrested.
Now, you've said before that one of your goals is to communicate to your constituents that law enforcement is part of a change toward safer environments. There are a lot of people out there, though, in our community, including the 5th District, that have distrust in our local law enforcement.
Absolutely.
How do you bridge that gap? And I know that there are a lot of community events that are already happening. It's National Night Out tonight.
Right.
A lot of things going on. What else, though? Because the community events, that's already happening. What else can law enforcement do, and what would you champion for to make sure that that gap is bridged over?
Well, community events like you're talking about, I know that there's a National Night Out trunk or treat kind of event going on this evening, but what I've seen that has been effective and has helped bridge the gap are these community meetings that are happening like in Southeast Bakersfield, and they're bringing the community, and Bakersfield Police Department was this event meeting that I went to. And quite frankly, the community had a chance to air their distrust, their issues, what has happened in the past historically, and what has led to that distrust. And I could see that there was a healing that was taking place, because oftentimes some areas of the community in the 5th District don't feel heard. So I think that Bakersfield Police Department is doing an excellent job in making sure that they have these meetings, inviting the community out. And I would encourage that anybody that sees a meeting like that Bakersfield Police Department is putting out, to come out, because Chief Terry is listening, and he has his whole group of community interventionists, people that go out and listening. So it was nice to see that. There was a couple of people that told it like it was, and I could see that those police officers were trying to make sure that they were actually listening, sitting next to them, so that they can listen.
I want to turn to homeless now. Again, this is a big issue across Kern County. You've expressed frustrations at homeless encampments that are broken up only to be moved down the road. Officials in Kern County, though, have described clearing encampments as a game of whack-a-mole. We know that this is, of course, a complicated issue, that this is not just impacting Kern County, it's impacting counties up and down the state, it's impacting this nation. But what solutions do you propose in terms of not only clearing these encampments, but making sure that they don't return? Because we're already clearing encampments. How do you get them to stay cleared?
So what we need to do is have a whole group, like a task force, that heads out with law enforcement, because you never know what you're going to encounter when you're clearing up someone's belongings, so to speak, that are near and dear to them. Law enforcement, code compliance, behavioral health services, just a task force that goes out, even community-based organizations that, M Street Navigation Center, that can help them get into a place. Now, there's no way we're going to solve homelessness, because there's people that they just prefer to be out in the street. That's where they feel most comfortable. But there are those people that are out there as well that probably desire to have some sort of service provided, and they don't know either where to find that help, and then also animal control, because oftentimes you have homeless people that have pets with them. And so we want to make sure that those that are homeless and have that compassion that Kern County is known for.
What about beds? Does the county need to fund more beds in our shelters?
I think beds added to it. I was at the M Street Navigation Center, and they do have that space outside where they can set up a tent. And so once you get someone off of the streets and into some sort of program or some sort of shelter, then those services can really be honed in. So yes, there is a need for beds, because the homeless situation is just so big. You're talking about, jails, beds in jails, beds in the homeless center. Obviously, capacity has been an issue. And like I said, it's because Kern County and Bakersfield has grown tremendously, and I think that we need to see that for what it is and try to help to make sure that services are provided.
I want to turn now to, again, another issue that impacts so many families across our county. Kern County has one of the highest youth disconnection rates in the United States. A recent study says that 1 in every 5 kids here in Kern County between the ages of 16 and 19 are neither in school or in the workforce. So what kind of responsibility does the Board of Supervisors have, if any, in making sure that there is not this high number of kids that have this disconnection rate between an education and the workforce? Is there any responsibility, and what can be done?
Board of Supervisors as a whole obviously cares about the health of the community with regards to social issues, our children, and Kern High School District, more or after school programs, those types of things. I was at a community meeting. I was actually at the NAACP Candidate Forum on Monday night, and this came up about youth disconnection and what can they do. And I just want to say the NAACP does a great job in getting youth involved, educating them. And one thing that struck me as a kind of like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Driver's ed. I said this at another debate. Driver's ed has been taken out of our schools, and it afforded me as a 16-year-old, I was able to take driver's ed, mobility. So I can get a car, which means I can get a job, and I didn't have to depend on someone like, hey, can you take me to work, and those types of things. So the Board of Supervisors can get involved maybe with like Pell programs, cell programs, but 16 to 19-year-old kids, I think their biggest issue is they're bored and they need something to fill their time. And so whatever we can do to help that. I worked for Foster Youth Services through Kern County Superintendent of Schools. So what that did is we got the 18-year-olds that had aged out of the program and heard a lot about what they need to do. And their main thing was a job. They wanted to get started with adulthood.
All right, Kimberly Salas, we are halfway done with our conversation, but we've got a lot more to talk about, including I want to talk about parks. I want to talk about the economy and so many other issues to get to. We are going to take a short break. We will be back in just 2 minutes. Stay with us.
17 News, your local election headquarters presents a special presentation featuring the Kern County Supervisors District 5 race.
Good evening, I'm Alex Fisher, and if you are just now joining us, we are hosting a conversation with 5th Supervisorial District candidate Kim Salas. Our intent was to host a debate between her and the incumbent in this race, Leticia Perez, but the supervisor did not show up. The third time in a row, Ms. Perez has skipped out on a KGET debate. So instead, we're shifting gears just a little bit. We're having Ms. Salas on to talk about the issues that impact this district the most. Want to stress again to our viewers at home that while the way we are doing this and hosting this is a little different, the questions and the topics remain the same. I'm going to get right back into it. Our conversation continues. We're going to talk about parks. Again, we've seen a lot of millions and millions of dollars from the county going into revitalizing a lot of our parks across the county, especially in District 5. A lot of people, though, talk about that they don't necessarily feel safe going to those parks. There's been an issue with at the county level with not only there's a park ranger program, but a lot of those park rangers are kind of there's no retention, or there's very little retention. What can you do if you are elected as supervisor? What can you do to make sure that families, kids can go to these parks and feel safe in these beautiful parks?
Well, you know, you're correct with the park ranger system. There needs to be a robust park ranger system, and I know recently their salary was raised specifically for this. But oftentimes there's other areas that offer a little more, and so they go over to that organization or that municipality. We need to make sure that we have the park rangers in the parks checking the parks. If you look at the city of Bakersfield, they have their park ranger program, and they open up the bathrooms in the morning, go back at 10 o'clock and close them. I think we need to ask our park rangers to do the same in the county so that families can enjoy whatever park that they so choose.
Do you think that that is the only solution here?
No, I think that the bathrooms are a problem. A lot of them have porta potties that are just horrible. I wouldn't allow my 7-year-old grandson to go in those. And when you have a child that has to use a restroom and one is not available and all you have is a porta potty that is unkempt, dirty, I won't go into detail. People can probably use their imagination. There's oftentimes, there could be needles in there. And so that's not safe for any family, especially, a child. So I think more can be done with maintenance, with making sure that these are cleaned up. And if they're contracting out for these porta potties, to make sure that they're cleaned or changed out, something to that effect.
Let's talk about the economy. Kern's economy, of course, relies heavily on a few industries, including oil, ag, the aerospace industry as well. But the county is home to nearly 25,000 businesses. So county leaders right now, they have, over the last several years, they're trying to improve our local economy. They're trying to diversify it. And one of the things that they're doing, they have, they're trying to reach out to other industries and other businesses. They've got a plan that includes on focusing on ag, transportation, energy and natural resources, aerospace and defense, tourism and entertainment, and healthcare. So how would you assist the county administrative office in making sure that they have all the resources, all the funding needed to make sure that they are in fact diversifying the economy?
Right. Well, when you talk about agriculture and oil, those have primarily been the ones that have brought revenue into the county. I'm proud to have the Kern County Farm Bureau's endorsement, so they're trusting me to make sure that we continue that, ag and what we produce here in Kern County continues down that route. as far as the other industries, that's a long list. We want it longer. We want to make sure that we have from, the west side of the county all the way to the eastern Kern. I think aerospace is going to probably take off. We'll probably see more revenue there, and so whoever's elected to represent that area will, look more into that and what can go on out in the eastern Kern.
The county, of course, putting a lot of their focus right now on the expansion of the southern portion of the county. This is, of course, in District 2. You're seeing the outlets at Tahone. You're seeing the new Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. You've got just so much, the distribution centers. There's a lot of land, though, down there that's just undeveloped. It's just been sitting there. District 5 is much more urban. There's not as much undeveloped land. What could you do, though, to make sure that other industries, other businesses are, in fact, coming to District 5 when a lot of it's already developed?
Right, and there's some new development going on down in Del Oro area that will bring more housing, and with more housing, you're going to need more restaurants, you're going to need shopping centers, you're going to need places, groceries, people to buy groceries. So I want to make sure that we have new development, inviting new industries in, but I'm also concerned about those established neighborhoods that are, that have been neglected. There's a trunk line that's going to go down for that Del Oro, but there's concerns with the Casaloma area that's an established neighborhood that they don't know. They're wondering why they weren't asked, like, how can we get off septic and get into that trunk line and beyond sewer. So, one, I agree, industry and business needs to come into the 5th District, but with that, we also need to help in those established neighborhoods that are oftentimes still back in the 50s, 60s, and bring them up to par as well. That will help attract industry to come in.
Let's talk about Kern's canine crisis. That's what we call it here at 17 News, because it is unfortunately something that we're seeing more and more of. We've talked to our animal shelters, and they say that they're still overwhelmed with the amount of dogs and cats coming in, and they sometimes have to euthanize hundreds of dogs every single month because they just keep on coming in. So the Board of Supervisors, they have already implemented change to address this issue. One of the big things that they did recently, back in the spring and April, they approved $1 million for a spay and neuter program. What else can be done? Because we're still seeing this impact our shelters. What else can the county do to make sure that this is no longer an issue?
See, once again, Alex, we're talking about capacity, right? We're talking about capacity with jail beds, we're talking about capacity for homeless shelters, and now we're talking about capacity at the animal shelter. So, at the end of the day, it's about what can we do to make sure that these different issues and situations are dealt with. I appreciate what everybody's done, including KGET, bring the pets that come in, and the supervisors I know do their pet of the week kind of thing. But also, I believe that pet owners have a stake in this. So we need some responsible pet ownership to make sure that their dogs are spayed and neutered. Their cats are taken care of as well. Pets are precious to us. Sometimes they become like family members, and I would hope that they would want to take care of that and make sure that their pets are healthy. And if cats are out, feral, that some of the times we got to catch them and get them fixed as well.
So we're coming to the end of our conversation, but I've got to ask you, because the Board of Supervisors, it's a non-partisan position, and yet the supervisors right now, all except the incumbent in this district, Leticia Perez, they're all conservative. And Supervisor Perez has talked about, what it's like being the lone Democrat on the board. How would you, as a Democrat, how would you act as a nonpartisan on this board? And while it is still nonpartisan, you're still dealing with other conservative members. Does party influence your decision making in this role?
Absolutely not.
How so?
When I think of the county as a whole, and I think of the people that I've met knocking on doors and talking to voters, we talk and walk to everybody. We don't just walk to Democrats, we walk to Republicans, we walk to independent voters, which are non-party preference, Democrats. We're talking to everybody because I firmly believe that the representatives on that board should look at their district and the county as a whole. I get along with, actually Supervisor Couch has endorsed me, so I do have his endorsement. I get along, and I know Supervisor Flores very well. I've recently met Supervisor Peters, and then we'll see what District 2 holds. But I can work across the board in a bipartisan fashion. Even though I'm registered Democrat, my party loyalty stops at the door because I feel that everybody should be represented.
All right, finally, because we are running low on time, I want to give you an opportunity. All of our candidates in previous debates have been able to give a closing statement. I want to give you an opportunity to have a closing statement, even though we don't have a debate, a closing statement. You have about 30 seconds. Okay.
I wanted to say thank you for inviting me over. I would appreciate and be humbled for anyone's vote. I do have a campaign phone number, that's 661-434-9689, and I would encourage any voter that has an issue to go ahead and call that number, message that number, because if I'm elected November 5th and I have the honor to be your supervisor, I will start on those issues on day one. I have the experience, I've been on the 5th floor, and I know how to get things done in District 5.
All right, Ms. Salas, again, thanks so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Again, thank you for coming on. I know it was supposed to be a debate. We had to shift just a little bit, but appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Kern County, for watching this conversation with Kimberly Salas. And again, Election Day is November 5th. More information on our website, kget.com. Good night, everyone.